I was in my usual Sainsbury's again today. I know, it's been far too long, and I'm sorry. I'm aware that many of you listen and read these dollops, mainly in the hope that there'll be another anecdote from Sainsbury's just around the corner. But instead you have to put up with me blabbering on about revenge porn and eccentric martial arts practitioners. The lady helping me around the shop was someone new. We got chatting a bit, and she asked me if I had any plans later this evening. It's only now when writing this that I've realised that this might have been her propositioning me. At the time, I just took it as trivial small talk, but perhaps I've inadvertently rejected the woman who would have been the love of my life. Perhaps by unconsciously spurning this woman, I am responsible for the death of one or more people. For all I know, me and this girl might have had children, but now, because of my inability to read her subtle come-on, I have destined them to never being born. And what if one of those children would have grown up to discover a cure for all the world's diseases, or find a solution for world peace, or a way to eradicate the effects of climate change? Oh dear, what have I done? Hang on, I think I better pop back to Sainsbury's and just make sure that she wasn't asking me on a date. I don't want to be haunted by the notion that I might be in some way responsible for future global disease, warfare and ecological disaster. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. It turns out that she was just making trivial small talk. Still, it's a weight off my mind. At least the world's problems don't lie at my door anymore. If anything, it's down to her, as now she's rejected me, potentially dooming the world to all sorts of untold horrors. I tried to point this out to her, but she freaked out and called security, who escorted me out of the building. So I might have to walk those extra miles and shop at the Co-op after all, Michael. The trouble is, in a small talk situation with a stranger, it's difficult to know the kind of answer to give when someone asks me a question about my life. If I was to give a truthful answer to the shop assistant's question, do you have any plans this evening, then the answer would be so unconventional and odd that it kind of transcends the general parameters of the small talk framework. We are merely just passing a tiny amount of time, a few seconds in between walking to find the next item. It's difficult to truthfully answer her question in the few seconds we've got. The purpose of this small talk is merely superfluous, requiring basic general kind of chat. If I was a normal person, then my answer might be something like, I might just watch a bit of TV and chill. But my life is a bit weird, and so if I was to give an honest answer to her question, then it would be, I'll spend an hour or so writing up the conversation that I'm having with you right now, overanalyzing it in immense detail in the hope that it will be funny and entertaining for the few hundred readers of my daily blog and listeners of my daily podcast. I'll then do some work on a DJ set that I'll be doing at a folk festival in August. Currently, I'm mixing Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars with Northumbrian pipe music. I found that this kind of odd conversational exchange would happen quite a lot when I had an office job. I was so out of touch with the subjects that everyone else was chatting about. Did you see X Factor over the weekend? What about the football? And I just completely draw a blank. Everyone in the office would say what they'd been doing over the weekend, watching X Factor or Strictly, going to the football, shopping, taking the children out. Then it would come to me, and I'd say, I got drunk with a load of Dutch, German and Polish sea shanty singers in Holland. And oddly, even though I think that all that is quite interesting, it kind of put the kibosh on the conversation, because it's just not relatable. So when the shop assistant asked me what I was doing this evening, I just told her that I'd probably watch a bit of TV and chill. It's just a lot easier, especially when you're just talking in brief statements in between walking to the next aisle to get the next thing on my shopping list. But maybe, if I'd been honest with her and told her about mixing Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars with Northumbrian pipe music, she would have found me a lot more interesting and might have been more amenable to the idea of a date. Maybe I should pop back to Sainsbury's again and tell her. I mean, it would be a shame if the only thing stopping us from having our planet-saving children is that I lied about my evening plans. What if it turns out that her 3 favourite things in the whole world are Mark Ronson, Bruno Mars and Northumbrian pipe music? I might be her perfect man, and she'll never know. Maybe the world might be saved from ecological disaster, disease and warfare after all. Hang on, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, it looks like I'll definitely have to make that 2-mile walk to the Co-op now. She told me that I was a weird stalker and called security again. As I was being dragged out, I tried to explain to her that I wasn't a stalker and shouted to her that she'd understand everything if she just went to my website where I've written all about her and our meeting. Oh, it's late. I think this might be the first dollop that I have read under the influence of alcohol. See if you can tell the difference. I'll probably read it much better than normal. David's Daily Digital Dollop, Dollop 146. The salesman never rang twice. Oh, thank you, Ben. It's the sound of tea going on the desk. Thank you, Ben. Regular Dollop listeners and readers, I feel as if there should be a collective name for you. Maybe Dollopies. Dollopers is ridiculous, 'cause surely I am the Dolloper. So you are a $1p, but it doesn't sound very good. Suggestions welcome. We'll be aware that there are a number of regular elements in these dollops. Obviously, each dollop is unique, innovative and different. But within the dollop framework, there are a number of themes and characters that keep cropping up. So much so that I think it might be worth putting a glossary section on my website so that newbies can look things up if ever they think that they might be references or in-jokes that they don't get. As well as the many recurring themes, there are, of course, the classic catchphrases. I wouldn't imagine it would taste very nice. And there's also the regular characters who pop up. Mavis Crumble, inventor of the Mavis Crumble fart game, pedantic Jules, sex-obsessed Chloe, to name just a few. And among the recurring themes and the recurring characters is Michael Wackington's passionate extolment of the Co-op. Ever since I mentioned shopping at Sainsbury's, my nearest supermarket, Michael has been trying to promote the virtues of the Co-op. Since I have been, albeit fictionally, banned from Sainsbury's, this gave Michael the perfect opportunity to once again sell the Co-op to me. Not literally, I'm not making that much money from folk. I mean, I might have to up my fee a bit. Maybe ask for more money and tell them that I'm happy to lose the standard sacrificial goat in return. It's an in-joke there. You need to consult the dollop glossary if you don't understand that. But anyway, he's not suggesting that I buy the Co-op, only that I buy from the Co-op. Here is Michael's latest comment, and I quote, I have just returned from the Co-op. Shall I give him another? I'll give him a voice. Come on, David, do a bit of acting. I've just returned from the Co-op AGM in Manchester. Oh, he's Manchester. Hang on. I've just returned from the Co-op AGM in Manchester, where it was revealed that in the autumn, Co-op members, yeah, that's gone a bit Yorkshire more than Manchester, but still, Co-op members will get 5% of all brand goods, plus an additional 1% for a local community project. It will be worth your walk to the Co-op now. Plus, it will be a great opportunity for you to conduct your social good morning, afternoon/evening experiment. Well, Michael, as you can tell, that's not Michael now. I've now me again, because I've changed my accent. Well, Michael, even though my ban from Sainsbury's is really just a fabrication done for mildly comedic purposes, I think that I shall, nevertheless, reward your persistence, and thus venture to the Co-op the next time I need to shop. And fear not, people, I know that you are all interested in and excited by this development, and therefore I shall record my Co-op-based adventures on the dollop. So it looks like we'll be going on another walk together very soon. One of my reasons for shopping at Sainsbury's, other than it being the nearest supermarket to me, is because it is a big store and they have staff on hand to help me around the shop. So another element of the dollop will be to record my time in the Co-op, meaning that you get to experience the drama unfold live as I ask the Co-op staff for assistance. But the question is, will they live up to their name and be cooperative? There's only one way to find out. You'll have to listen to the dollop. Unfortunately, you'll have to be a little bit patient because I'm away from home until the 5th of June. So it'll probably be the 6th of June, Monday after next, when that special dollop happens. If you're a particularly busy person and you're not a dollop regular, make sure to mark the date in your diaries so you don't miss it. Monday the 6th of June, dollop 157, I believe. So well done, Michael. Unlike the salesman who came to my door today, you know that to sell something to someone, you need to have commitment, fortitude, and be passionate about the product. And that, my friends, is me linking very neatly and effectively to the next thing that I plan to talk about today. Yeah, this is the kind of slick writing that comes with the sort of experience that you get once you've written 140 consecutive daily blogs. This morning, the doorbell rang. It's quite a long doorbell ring, about 15 seconds, and it's rather loud too. Often we'll answer the door long before the doorbell has finished its deafening tune, meaning that for the first 10 seconds after answering the door, we can't actually hear what the person on the other side of the door is saying. Today, I answered the door just after the doorbell had finished to find that the man who'd pressed the doorbell was walking back up the drive. He saw me open the door and then turned back around, saying that he'd assumed that there was no one in, but he'd waited less than 15 seconds, which seemed like a very short amount of time to stand there before deciding that it was a lost cause. The man explained that he was a salesman from Rington's Tea and that they were visiting people's houses to see if anyone would be interested in the Rington's Tea delivery service. Then, before I could say anything, he added, "Yeah, I'm really sorry to bother you, and I understand that it's not for everyone, so I'll leave you be, and began to turn away. I was so shocked by his diffidence and lack of confidence that I nearly called him back to tell him that actually I did want to avail myself of the Rington's tea delivery service. But then I considered that maybe this was his clever tactic. He was being an anti-salesman, pretending to be all shy and nervous in the hope that it would blindside me into signing up for the scheme. So I let him walk off and closed the door. But a part of me was interested to know why he'd been so sure that I wasn't the kind of person who would want to take him up on the offer. Did he take one look at me and then assume that I couldn't afford it? Possibly like the shop assistants did with the muesli in Sainsbury's, which I mentioned in Dollop 9. Remember that, Dollop nerds? Dollop 9. The glory days of the Dollop, many people say. Or does this man think that he's got some sort of special power that allows him to deduce whether a person likes tea or not just by looking at them? But he was wrong, because I do like tea. If only he knew that I am a big fan of tea, and I have even written a song about it. If only he knew that one of the recurring themes on my daily blogs/podcasts has been kettles. Unless maybe he was aware of my dollop and assumed that it was pointless trying to promote his tea to me, thinking that, regardless of his sales pitch, I'd still just imagine that it wouldn't taste very nice. That's the catchphrase, everybody. So he decided not to bother trying to convince me. Of course, there is another potential reason why he wasn't particularly pushy about selling tea to me, which immediately sprung to my mind, and you might have instantly thought of this yourself, actually. Maybe he'd seen the recent anti-rape video published by Thames Valley Police, which uses a cup of tea as a metaphor for sex. In order to illustrate the point about sexual consent, it uses the analogy of giving someone a cup of tea. For instance, it explains that if you offer someone a cup of tea and they accept, then that's fine. But if you offer them a cup of tea and they don't accept, then you shouldn't force them to drink the cup of tea. There are a number of other scenarios outlined in the video. If you offer someone a cup of tea and they accept, but then, once the kettle is boiled and the tea has been poured, they suddenly decide that actually they don't want the cup of tea after all, then it is not fine to force them to have a cup of tea. Or, if you offer someone a cup of tea and then they accept, but then once the kettle has been boiled and then you've poured them the tea, they fall asleep, it is not acceptable to wake them up and force them to drink the tea. Or try to force the tea down them while they are still sleeping. The moral of that story is get a better kettle that boils a lot quicker, rather than relying on a stupid kettle which is controlled by a pointless phone app and takes ages to boil, because it keeps getting disconnected from the Wi-Fi network, which, as Dollop nerds will recall, was discussed in Dollop 38. Maybe the Rington salesman saw this video, but for whatever reason never made it to the end, and then didn't realise that the cup of tea element was actually just an analogy for sex. Maybe he wasn't aware that it was an anti-rape video, and thought that the police were cracking down on anyone who tries to thrust tea on people, given that this is essentially the nature of his job, to persuade people to buy tea using a variety of sales tactics. Maybe he freaked out and lost his nerve, and so is now terrified to peddle his tea in fear that the police will arrest him. I guess we'll never know the real truth. Well, we've certainly covered a lot today, haven't we? Oh, I'm exhausted. I think I need a cup of tea. And as people will realise, at the start of the dollop, Ben brought me a cup of tea, so I'm going to go and drink that now. Ow! Coat hanger's just fallen on my head. Tomorrow I will be doing a recording for the BBC TV programme Springwatch. When I first heard from the BBC about this, I assumed that I'd been asked onto the Springwatch programme because they'd heard my walking audio dollop, and perhaps wanted me to recreate the magic of those walks only for a wider television audience. Unfortunately, my big presenter break hasn't happened quite yet, because it turns out that the other two young'uns have been asked to be on the show as well. Originally, we had been asked to be on the One Show as part of BBC Music Day, which is Friday the 3rd of June, but unfortunately, we aren't available that day, so we had to turn the One Show down. But they were still quite keen to do something with us for BBC Music Day, and so we ended up being asked to do a recorded appearance for Springwatch. And tomorrow is the day that we record. Obviously, because it's a nature programme, there has to be some link between our presence on the show and the subject of nature. They asked us whether we had anything that might fit the show's remit, and obviously we said yes. I mean, we don't, but we're hardly going to turn down the opportunity to be on the telly, are we? Just because of some trifling little trivial matter of being clueless about nature. We'd have said anything just to get on the telly. We'd have happily pretended to be devout Christians if Songs of Praise was in the offing. We'd have told them that we were passionate Josiah Wedgwood aficionados if someone from the Antiques Roadshow came calling. As long as we've got enough time before the show to have a cursory read of Wikipedia, we should be fine. So, tomorrow we shall be recording our appearance on Springwatch, singing a song and chatting about our music and how nature plays a part in our music and how it inspires us creatively. I mean, it doesn't really particularly inspire us creatively or factor into our music, but we want to be on the telly, and so we'll happily make up some lies in order to facilitate that. To be honest, the biggest link that we have to the remit of the programme is the fact that I am named after a bird. Yes, my uncle had a much-loved parrot called David, and they named me after that. You see what I did there, people? There's a bit of comedy for you there, a bit of comedy. Tick in the remit box. There has to be at least one joke every 2 minutes. That's what I strive for. It's a big ask. Generally speaking, I think I managed to pull it off. That's what happens. I pull it. When I say I pull it off, I mean that's what happens if I don't manage to make a joke every 2 minutes. Then I pull it off, and it's quite painful, but it is a bit of an incentive to get the creative juices flowing. Well, it's not the only juices that are flowing after pulling it off. We're recording the programme at 6 p.m, and so there is still time for us to swat up on some facts about nature. If anyone has any nuggets of nature information or wildlife jargon that we can maybe throw into the mix to help us seem like we are clued up about what we're talking about, feel free to leave a comment. The programme is the spin-off show from the Springwatch programme called Springwatch Unsprung, and will be broadcast on BBC Two at 6:30 p.m. on Friday the 3rd of June. So that's 2 things you've got to look forward to now in June. The young'uns on telly, and, even more excitingly, my audio dollop visiting the Co-op shop. Yes, the month of June is really hotting up. Obviously, if anyone from the BBC is listening to this, I am of course only joking about our lack of nature knowledge and our general irrelevance to your programme. I am pretending to be ignorant for mildly comic effect, just so I don't have to pull it off. Don't worry, on the night you will see that I am fully clued up about wildlife, and it won't be a case of us coming across as clueless, bumbling idiots making tits out of ourselves. Of course, on the subject of tits, I could regale you for days, whether it be the blue tit, the willow tit, the marsh tit, or even my particular favourite, the European crested tit. Although we'll be lucky to see a European crested tit, of course, because we're not recording in the right location, as it chiefly resides in the ancient pine woods of Inverness and Strathbury in Scotland. It is uncommon for the crested tit to stray from this location, although there have been some occasional sightings in England, so you never know. But anyway, I don't want to bore you with my vast bird-based knowledge. The point is, as you can tell, BBC, you have nothing to worry about.
This is a weird situation that we're in. We're in a pub at the moment with everybody working on Springwatch, and there's this kind of fixation. I think because everybody is so used to having cameras around them. You know, you go into someone at Springwatch and you have every nest has a camera. We've walked into the studios where they've got like screens for every single thing, like every possible bird nest is mic'd up and cameraed up. What's weird is they really do love their jobs. So much so, and it is exemplified by the fact that right now we're looking at a scrum of cameras. Everyone has their cameras out. To your left? To the left. People are taking photos of things. At the moment, there's not really anything that interesting going on. It's just people taking pictures of each other having conversations. And you might think that I'm kind of exaggerating here, mildly and very mildly. Comic effect.
I can verify that you are. I mean, they're all on their phone tweeting things, or pictures that have just happened, or pictures that happened.
And it's just things that are happening in the pub as well to their friends. And I suppose it's because you get in that mode. What's weird is normally, though, Michael, if I was talking now into a recorder to you, people will be asking me what's going on. Yeah. But the fact that I'm interviewing you, bear in mind that you're my friend, you were in the same group as me, yet me and you are sat next to each other speaking into a digital recorder. No one bats an eyelid because everyone's used to it. I could probably start interviewing the person next to me right now, and she wouldn't bat an eyelid. She'd just start answering the question because it's absolutely normal.
Well, I think for the dollop purposes, I think you should just turn now to Laura.
I can talk to anyone.
Just turn to Laura's tweet next to you, to your left. Just turn around and just start interviewing her without.
I'm going to start. I'm not going to say I'm going to interview. I'm just going to do this. And so you're tweeting at the moment, Laura. on? What are you tweeting?
I'm just checking to see what people have been tweeting BBC
And
Springwatch.
what have we got? What have we got on the old hashtags and the apps right now?
Somebody's a little bit annoyed that BBC Two scheduling have put Springwatch and Sewing Bee up against each other on the same night. But I've got news. Because actually, Patrick from the Sewing Bee is on Unsprung, so that's actually the perfect storm for anyone that's a fan of Sewing Bee and Springwatch.
So you've kind of got this. I didn't even know there was a programme about sewing.
Yeah, there is.
And it's called Sewing Bee.
I think it's called the Great British Sewing Bee, and it puts contestants against each other who have to sew under a time constraint.
How much can you get from the thing of sewing? I mean, like, what is there to be had?
I've only seen it once, and to be honest, it wasn't quite my bag. It wasn't my peg bag.
Now, my point was to Michael,
Yes.
was everyone is so with their cameras, with their phones, always recording and doing things. In a normal situation, if I'd have just turned to you and started talking to you with clearly thrusting a digital recorder in your face, you'd have been perplexed, wondered what was going on, and maybe a bit shy. But the fact that I'm doing that to you and you work on the BBC, you're all in that environment where you're all constantly doing that, so it just seems normal.
It seems totally normal, and that's the whole point of Springwatch. That's the kind of our USP. It's like it's the thing that we trade on. We turn up at a place, we bug it, we put 50 kilometres of cable around a reserve, we stick cameras everywhere, and we record everything that happens for 3 weeks. That's what we're trading on. So I think the whole team are just used to being recorded and recording and telling stories for 3 weeks about everything we see.
Yeah, there was a great incident that happened this evening, where someone was carrying a cake in, and they dropped the cake, and originally the response was they dropped the cake and everyone laughed. People stood up, people applauded.
Yeah.
But then there was a kind of a slight
disappointment.
lull. A lull and a disappointment across the place, because they all realised that none of them had managed to capture that on camera, and that would never be captured, and that would never be got again.
Unless we wasted cakes trying to take pictures of it. That's what was very, very sad, is that one of my colleagues actually put a camera in the catering tent this very evening and did a time-lapse of everybody having their dinner. Because we thought it would be fun to show what it looks like to feed 120 people in an hour, such as the amazing catering on Springwatch. And then she stopped her time-lapse, and 2 minutes later they dropped the cake.
A woman can film herself wearing a mask and laughing and get 100 million views. You are putting all this effort in to recording wildlife. There must be hundreds of cameras. You were seeing something like 50 kilometres worth of cable.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the thing that could have really gotten you your big break tonight was the dropping of the cake, and everyone missed it because all the cameras are pointing at bloody birds.
You say that, but actually we have had a few moments on Springwatch where the most unexpected things have performed really, really well online. So for instance, last year when we were here at Springwatch, the star of the show, without doubt, was a tiny 1-inch long stickleback fish. Our little stickleback fish, we called him Spineless Simon.
Spineless Simon,
to begin with,
I mean, that really gets his back up.
yeah, it did get his back up, and he was not a good specimen. He didn't really exhibit the behaviour you'd expect from a stickleback fish.
No.
The camera angle on him wasn't perfect.
Let's look at all the cliches that people are thinking. As soon as you said all the expected behaviour, think of all the cliches when it comes to stickleback fish. He wasn't exhibiting any of those things, or was he? Is what you're saying here?
He just was a little bit duff as a fish, and certainly not the kind of story that you'd expect millions of people on the BBC to tune in to watch.
No,
And yet,
he's like Michael Hughes, basically, of the young'uns. This stickleback fish.
that was his nickname actually, Michael Hughes. But it turns out that he was a struggling hero and a single dad, and his only job in life was eggs were laid in a small crater at the bottom of the stream. He had to create a little tiny crater to keep the eggs safe, and his only job was to fan the eggs and ensure a consistent flow of water over the top of them until such time that the eggs hatched. And every single person was rooting for tiny Spineless Simon. And if he doesn't do it in time, if he doesn't let his eggs hatch safely, he dies and they perish. And it wasn't until the very last day of Springwatch that the eggs hatched and Spineless Simon finally became a single dad.
And he timed it perfectly.
He really did, and he was a
knew.
total hero. And so he became our woman in the mask. He was our viral success. Very unexpected, absolutely the underdog. Tiny little fish, totally boring, but the nation got behind him.
I think that's brilliant, but doesn't this say something for the argument of vegetarianism and not killing animals? Because here we are in a situation where as soon as we anthropomorphise an animal, which is obviously a living thing, but we give it a personality. And I'm not saying we give it a personality, it may even have a personality, but we find that personality, and all of a sudden we fall in love with it. You'd never want to eat it. That stickleback fish, you'd never want to eat it. I'm not saying you'd want to eat a stickleback fish normally.
I would say one of the aims of Springwatch, one of its aims, and it has many aims, but I would say its core aim really is to connect people with the natural world. So we have a massive core audience that will always watch Springwatch, but we're always hoping to reach a broader audience and a new audience, people that haven't really thought about nature before, people that don't think nature's relevant to them.
Well, obviously the Dollop is doing this.
I hope that the Dollop is doing this.
Yeah.
But it's certainly...
I mean, you're not wasting your time, Laura. You're not just having a conversation with me here.
I'm enjoying the Dollopers.
What? What's going on? Laura, we have a breaking news. Breaking news right now. Can we get some cameras over here, please? Okay.
Is that an audio zoom? No.
See, this is it. Never have I been asked a technical question before, but as soon as you come to the BBC, this is an Olympus.
Okay.
Something or other, I have no idea.
Do you find it good quality?
It's good. It's amazing quality for picking up boring conversations about digital recorders. Now, what's the breaking news? What's the breaking news? Have we got here?
I've actually forgot what we said.
No, we're on Springwatch Unsprung.
Oh,
So
no.
she said when she was talking about Michaela Strachan,
Yeah.
and said
So-
Michaela Strachan presents the main show. I was
Only
saying, well, this is not the
because
main show.
there always has to be a distinction, so everybody knows what programme you're talking
I feel as
about.
if Michael's got me here under a non-news story, to be honest, because I feel as if we knew we were on Springwatch
No,
Unsprung.
but I thought you'd want to talk to Lindsay, obviously.
I will talk to Lindsay, because Lindsay is actually the presenter of Springwatch. I mean, we're having a great Springwatch Unsprung. But Lindsay,
Hello.
so what we're doing is I do this project where I have been blogging now on a daily basis for 148 days consecutively, because that's how many days we are into the year.
Yeah.
I'm sure you knew that.
How's it going?
It's going it's going brilliantly, isn't it, people? I have to do one before midnight, and I was going to just type something up when I got back.
It's 9:14 p.m.
But then what happened, though, was I realised that everybody around me was getting cameras out. Everyone around me was getting recorders out and recording things. It just seemed like that was the thing to do. And I felt all of a sudden, weirdly, as if I was the odd one out for not doing that. So I thought, why don't I just take this opportunity to just do that and just do a Dollop live right now?
Well, that's very
You're
good.
going to interview us, basically.
So I
next
work
week.
on Springwatch Unsprung. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
will be interviewed by Mr. Chris Packham himself, who is the presenter of Unsprung.
Of course he is, yeah.
And I work alongside Chris, and I monitor all the user-generated content, to be really very specific about
We've
it.
been very lacklustre with that at the moment. As we've been recording this, my phone has been going crazy in my pocket.
So
and I
what-
haven't been analysing any of the user-generated content.
Unbelievable. Well,
I
you
know.
need to get right on that. So I monitor that, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, questions that we're getting in on email, everything that's happening in people's local area in spring. So not only is it commenting on the show, but it's also commenting on what's happening right across the whole country, which is really important to me because it's not just about Minsmere, it's about where you are and what you're doing and the wildlife in your area. So I might chip in if we get a question specifically for you guys. I might shout across the studio and say...
I love it. I love this because we were sort of saying that we weren't sure how much nature knowledge we necessarily would have to have and how much maybe we'd have to slightly blag it. I don't want to say Lindsay, but like sort of come up with an answer on the spot. And I like the idea that we may have to do that.
Oh, you-
And I want to challenge anybody now. We're recording it on a Thursday night, aren't we?
You will
And
be.
it's going out Friday.
That's right. So you're doing the pre-recorded
I mean, come on.
show.
In the interest of transparency, we have to point that out nowadays, don't we?
We absolutely do. If you are the pre-recorded show,
which
we
we
need
are.
people to tweet
In advance.
in advance on the Thursday.
Brilliant.
And what
Oh,
I'll
okay.
do is
Yeah.
I'll get your Twitter feed up on my tweet deck.
Yeah.
So if people are sending stuff and they include your Twitter handle, which is
The Young'uns Trio.
send your questions in, and then I can literally shout them over.
So how do they send them in? What do they?
Yeah, so if they tweet in the question, the comment, whatever it might be,
Right.
and then at BBC Springwatch,
Yeah.
at the Young'uns Trio,
And then you'll get that.
and if you hashtag Springwatch it, then I'll
Springwatch, just Springwatch, or Springwatch it.
Hashtag.
Yeah, what's going on? You're not. I mean, come on, Lindsay. I'm having to. It's like I feel as if I'm training you here. Yeah, unbelievable.
Hashtag Springwatch.
Just hashtag Springwatch. Brilliant.
Do that on Thursday, and if I get some really great questions in, Chris will be.
Well, give us a heads up then. What kind of questions? Because listeners are thinking, I'm going to put this one in, I'm going to put that one in. What kind of things would definitely, or more likely, get them on the air? What are we looking for?
What's your favourite fish?
I would say Michael.
Okay.
Of course, you see what I've done there?
I
It's
like
a
it.
comedy.
I
I'm
like
bringing it in because it's not just about the nature. A lot of people are watching this for the young'uns. Bringing a bit of comedy to it
And
there.
some of them are watching it for the weather.
But then, you
you
know what
know.
I'll do? What
I
I'll
see
do?
you did.
I'm going to say my favourite fish is Michael, and everyone will go, oh, that's funny. And obviously they'll be laughing. Some people will be rolling around the floor. Pause it. Fortunately, nowadays with catch-up TV, they can laugh hysterically and would not miss a thing. So they can then
Absolutely.
rewind it back, and
That's
then they'll
right.
get the next bit of the joke where I'll say Michael, who is a haddock, you see. So now I've brought it back to an actual
because
fish.
they were thinking,
They're thinking I was talking about Michael
weatherman.
fish, and I'm actually talking about a real fish.
That's
So
wonderful.
there you go, what I've done there.
That's lovely.
That's brilliant.
This is
So-
gold, people.
Shall we
If you're
kill-
listening at home, this is
Shall
absolute
we?
gold.
Why don't we plot to kill Chris, and me and you can present this together? Because I feel as if he's letting everything down.
I feel like without Chris, you and I could, go on to world domination, but maybe we should keep him
Mr.
just...
Cooney, breaking news now
We
from
should
Mr.
just-
Cooney.
Would you like a drink?
If you're going to get one, I'll have one, yeah?
Could I borrow your wallet?
Yes, you can. There's the bag. It's all in there, in the inside pouch.
Are we mid-dollop here?
Yeah, I'm doing this for an emergency thing. Although it's been the longest one yet.
That's very kind, but I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
She's all right because some people would need a drink to get through this, but not you because you're enjoying it
No,
so much.
I'm just ploughing through.
Yeah, wonderful, good Springwatch reference there with the old ploughing.
Well, yeah, that's...
Very good. She's always on message. She can't help herself. Everything she says has to be a pun or an adjective or something to do with spring and the countryside. Absolutely fine.
Photosynthesis.
Exactly. Now, sometimes it doesn't quite work.
Fledging.
Well, maybe a bit later if you're lucky. Well, thank you very much, Lindsay.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thanks for helping me out of a bit of a rut there with the old dollop. Excellent.